welcome back to my channel. I'll be doing another video for counseling, for me being a crisis counselor volunteer, while I'll be working in nursing. I'm starting off as a CNA next week, technically a nursing assistant, then I'll be going back into CNA, and then I'll be going to school for LPN to become a nurse. While I'm doing that, I'm also doing counseling too, because mental health and counseling and medical field, they could all tie together, especially there'll be a lot of patients out there with mental issues they could need to be helped with. So I'm here to learn some training and guidance through to help me understand about mental health issues. We'll go ahead and start Module 6, Good Contact Techniques. Good contact techniques. Okay, about this course. In moments of crisis, every word matters. This module will help you communicate with clarity and purpose using the good contact techniques. Reflections, strong feelings, words, identifiers, validation, strength IDs, open-ended questions. These techniques are the foundation of support text-based communication and play a vital role in de-escalation, emotional regulation, and resilience building. Learning objective. By the end of this module, learners will be able to demonstrate using good contact techniques in a conversation with the texter, utilize reflections in a conversation with the texter to clarify understanding, identify strong words and feelings in conversation with the texter and mirror the texter's experiences, express identifiers in a conversation with a textifier to clarify understanding, provide validations in a conversation with the texter to validate the texter's experience, articulate strength IDs in a conversation with the texter, distinguish between and use open-ended versus closed-ended questions in a conversation with a texter. Module 6, Introduction. Here's the video, everyone.
Welcome to Module 6, Good Contact Techniques. In this section, you'll learn 6 powerful tools that will help you to meaningfully connect with texters. These techniques, such as reflections, identifiers, and validations, aren't just strategies. They're building blocks for empathy, trust, and emotional safety. You will also learn when and how to use each technique to support someone through a difficult moment, and how to communicate with clarity and compassion. By the end of this module, you'll be able to craft responses that not only acknowledge what the texter is going through, but will also ensure that they feel truly heard. Let's get started.
All right, well, that is the end of the first video of this module. All right, so now I'll go ahead and continue on. Give me one moment, guys. Type this out of my typer here. Alright, so good contact techniques. Alright, so the introduction for this, we've already seen the video. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue on from here. Introduction. You are now ready to learn the 6 techniques that will help you communicate with the texter that you are actively listening and are genuinely concerned for them and are up to safely open up. These techniques are known as the good contact techniques, and you'll use them to craft your responses throughout the conversation. Good contact techniques. Let's watch the next video on for this, please.
good contact techniques throughout the entirety of our conversations. Good contact techniques help us build a strong connection with the texter. A good connection is the most important part of moving a texter from a hot moment to a cooler calm. In this video, you'll learn what role good contact techniques play in the overall conversation and how they communicate our support to texters. What are good contact techniques? Our 6 good contact techniques are reflections, strong feeling words, tentifiers, validations, strength IDs, and open-ended questions. These are methods of communicating we've developed from research and our data. Good contact techniques are conversational tools that help us frame our thoughts and support. Each good contact technique is a way to show texters we're empathetic and we care about them and their experiences. The first technique is using reflections. You've likely used this technique when trying to check your own grasp of a situation. When you reflect, you rephrase what you've heard to show you're actively listening and to check if you correctly understand what's been shared. For example, if a texter is dealing with a chronic illness, a reflection could be, "It sounds like you're constantly monitoring your health and trying to make adjustments." We don't repeat word for word what they shared with us. Instead, we paraphrase their thoughts to show we understand. The second technique is using strong feeling words. Strong feeling words describe and express a texter's emotions during their crisis. Since texters in crisis are usually feeling strong emotions, we want to use words that best represent the intensity of their experience. For example, devastated is a stronger form of upset. The third technique is using tentifiers. Tentifiers come before strong feeling words or actions to make them tentative. In other words, it's our way of interpreting how a texter is feeling and leaving room for them to correct us. For instance, in the examples, "It seems as if you're feeling upset," and "I wonder if you're feeling frustrated." We're trying to gauge how the texter is feeling based on an experience they shared. The fourth technique is using validations. To validate is to recognize, normalize, and accept a texter's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. People often feel alone in their situation and think no one else cares or could possibly understand what they're going through. A good validation could be, "It makes sense to feel frustrated when you keep trying to feel better, but nothing seems to be working." Validations can help texters feel heard and encourage them to open up further. The fifth technique is using strength identifications, also known as strength IDs. Strength IDs are words that describe a texter's inherent positive qualities based on information they shared. For example, brave is the strength ID in the message. "It was brave to reach out today." How do we know they're brave? Because it takes courage to get support. All texters have positive characteristics. Identifying their strengths based on what they share with us shows them they have the resilience to fight through their struggles and find relief. The sixth and final technique is using open-ended questions. Open-ended questions allow texters to expand on their thoughts and emotions because they can't be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, "How long have you been dealing with this?" gives the texter space to share more. Using open-ended questions helps you explore the situation and helps the texter share relevant information you may not know to ask directly about. We use open-ended questions to dig a little deeper. Together, reflections, strong feeling words, tentifiers, validations, strength IDs, and open-ended questions make up your good contact techniques. Why are good contact techniques important? It can be difficult to think of what to say to someone in a crisis, let alone someone we don't know, can't see, and can't hear. We can't offer any physical, visual, or audio affirmation that we're listening and we're here for them. So our messages need to be as warm and empathetic as possible. Good contact techniques give us a starting point to create warm messages to support and empower our texters. Good contact techniques amplify our ability to build trust and actively listen to texters when we don't have face-to-face contact with them. We use good contact techniques throughout the conversation to let the texter know we believe what they're telling us and their experiences are worth sharing. Most importantly, they help texters feel comfortable sharing what's really going on. Because they reflect and validate what the texter is experiencing, our use of these techniques, in itself, normalizes their feelings and strengthens our connection. While using good contact techniques in every message may feel unnatural or forced at first, as you gain more practice on the platform, you'll notice how they help texters open up fully about what they're experiencing. This is the most effective way to support texters and convey our empathy.
All right. Okay, so next tab. Okay, reflections. What are reflections? Reflections are let's see. Reflections are a good contact technique that requires paraphrasing with that the texter has shared without repeating that was said, word for word. Why reflections work? Reflections show texters why are you listening closely and doing best to understand their specific crisis. Without reflection, it is hard for the texters to know if they're communicating what they want to know. When to use reflections. Reflections is primarily used to double check to understand the texture correctly to summarize large chunks of information. How to use reflections. Reflection requires paraphrasing that the texter has shared, a common mistake that when used in the technique to repeating the texter's word for word, also known as parroting. Especially when texting, parroting comes across a robotic that doesn't show that we understand the texter is going through. Instead, take some time to read that what the texter has shared or summarize their thoughts in their own words. This shows that the texter that you are really hear them. Example, reflecting on feelings of isolation. Example transcript. Texter, I am standing alone and the fight with my boyfriend is really pissing me off. And now I can't even talk to him about what I am going through. Volunteer crisis counselors would say, so you already felt isolated and today's fight was just an added fuel to the fire. Example, reflecting on feelings of guilt. Example transcript. I cheated on my final exam. I do not think anyone will find out, but I don't know. It just sucks. I can't believe I did that. Responding, the crisis counselor would say, I get the sense you regret cheating. It's understandable to feel unsure about it, even if no one else would know. Demonstration. Take a moment to texture, share, reflecting, understanding using your own words. Select the best answer from the choice provided, then click submit to record your response. Which of the following demonstrates the use of reflection? Why do you think that happened? I hear things that have been really tough for me lately. You should try focusing on what's going well. Right, give me a moment. What are strong feeling words? Strong feeling words are a good contact technique that requires choosing an emotion that matches to intensify the texture's description of their experience. Why do strong feeling words work? Using the appropriate vocabulary for describing a texture's crisis help us to capture the uniqueness of the crisis to help us both you and the texter better understand what they are going through. When to use strong feeling words. This technique is best to use after the texters share the facts of their situation without sharing much about how much has impacted them. It is also helpful to use strong feelings words with the texters are minimizing their own emotions as way as to show them that the conversation is a safe space to express how much they are truly feeling. Set the difference in a single word that can make below. How to use strong feeling words. Strong feeling words show that should be used to help label emotions associated with the crisis texter is sharing. You could use them in combination with any other word contact techniques. Although many strong feeling words do not seem natural as part of your training to help you here to expand your feeling vocabulary. The feeling word we know, the more specific we can be in understanding texters' feelings and thoughts. Example, choosing a strong feeling word. Alright, instructions. Example transcript. Texter, I got fired from my job at a restaurant today. It was a total crap. I didn't do what they said I did, but no one believed me. I feel like I could punch somebody. Crisis counselor would say, it seems like you're furious about being treated unfairly and not trusted by your boss. Texter would say, I just really want them to pay back for what they did to me. It's not fair that they're able to still and become senior events and I'm suspended. Volunteer crisis counselor would say, I'm getting my impression you're feeling powerless because you were treated differently than anybody else. Strong feeling words. Match the feeling word with intensity of the texture's strong emotions using a weak feeling word that can minimize texture's experiences. List of strong feeling words are The purpose of strong feeling word is to challenge the text views of the experience. Submit. The purpose of this using a strong feeling word is to match the emotional intensity of the texture's experience. Continue. What are tentifiers? Tentifiers are a good contact technique that requires adding a phrase of the beginning of a response to inform the texter that your message is an interpretation of the situation. Why do tentifiers work? Tentifiers help us avoid making assumptions. You could also use them to encourage the texter to share more about a particular feeling without asking a question. For instance, there are sentences it sounds like you are feeling worried about how your parents will react. It sounds like that is a tentifier. When to use tentifiers? This technique is best used to more complex or subtle subjects. It also be used to ensure that what texter is saying or feeling. Avoid using the technique in cases where the meaning of the texter is clear. How to use tentifiers. Tentifiers should be used in a strong feeling of words or thoughts to get clarity on how the feeling is feeling. Texture is feeling. By making our statements tentative, we leave the texter in control. We are not telling them how are they feeling, but instead we are leaving them in charge to confirm or deny to expand their following message. Example, using tentifiers. Example transcript. My BFF attempted suicide 3 months ago and only have been really touchy ever since. I do not know what to say to her, and I'm afraid of making things worse, so I haven't really visited. Volunteer Crisis would say, I get the feeling that you worried that she is too fragile to talk to after what happened. Takeaway, tentifiers. A tentifier, I get the gut feeling. I get the feeling that give the texture space to correct us that they are not actually worried, that they're helping us to understand how their situation is impacting them emotionally. Example, using tentifier and clarify the texture's experience. Example, transcript. Volunteer crisis counselor. I cannot show my face anymore. My so-called friend told everyone I can get herpes after I hooked up with someone. Texter would say, I understand you correctly. You're feeling humiliated because your friend told other people that you might have herpes. Takeaway, tentifiers. Tentifiers help us clarify the texter's feelings while leaving them in control. Without tentifiers, we can come across the authority figure that is not really feeling listening. Okay, list of tentifiers. What do you think is feeling, thinking of doing something, and giving a room to correct you? I get the feeling that I get the impression that, I hear that saying that, I hear your feeling, I wonder, I'm curious if, so you're feeling, my hunch is you're feeling, let me see if you so far, you, it sounds like, it seems like, if you understand you right, you, I'm thinking that you. Which of the following example is a tentifier? It sounds like it might be feeling like you're getting overwhelmed. Correct. Alright, everyone, that is one for good contact techniques. I'll continue a little bit later for part 2. Later, everyone. Bye bye.